Hi, welcome. It is a Wednesday and it is my Q&A session asking questions, anything e-commerce to me, and I will answer them for you. So before I get started, I just want to head over to my page and make sure that I actually get this across shared. So if you want to do any sort of Facebook Live for your business, I highly recommend it. In this situation, if I do it from my Facebook page and I send people into my Facebook group, I can't share out of my group, but I can share into my group. So that is what I'm doing right now. And I'm just waiting for everything to load. So I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock for me already here in Spain. So depending on where you are, I don't know, it's probably around midday for you if you're in the US. And for some reason, I cannot get this page to load. So I got my internet redone the other week. I went from ADSL to fiber optic cable, and it's meant to be faster, but I don't know if it's all that much faster, so I'm just going to keep trying and see if I can get this across. So let's see what's going on. Let's get some lighting in here. Fix up this lighting. Fantastic. I think my light's going. I've got a little got a portable light like this. Some people ask me what I use for my lighting, and that's a light that I use for I dropped my internet before, so the actual box thing, so I think my internet's not connecting properly. Okay, so I won't worry about that right now. I'm not sure what's going on there, so let's get straight into it. I sent out an email about 20 minutes ago letting everyone know that I'm going live. I usually go live around this time, so sent out an email, got a whole lot of responses back from people who wanted to ask me questions that can't be on the call. If you have any questions for me now, please just leave a question there for me, and I'll look through the feed and try to answer all your questions. I had some great questions. I think the funniest one I've had so far today was, I did say in the email, ask me anything, which I meant e-commerce, anything related, but I did get one question, which was quite funny. I actually got a question from Anna, and she said, are you always this happy when you're on video? Are you always like this in real life? And the answer is, Anna, yes, I am. I guess I understand that life is short and we have to enjoy what we do. And luckily for me, I enjoy everything I do. So I love helping people. I love answering questions. I love the fact that when I do for my Facebook Lives, whether it's the Wednesday Q&A or whether it's ones that are just answering other questions along the way or giving you advice on things, I love the fact that I can help people. So I love doing these. I get really excited about doing them. I just love what I do in general. So yes, and yeah, I usually wake up pretty happy. So I'm one of those people that, I wake up happy in the morning, happy that I get to do what I love. And part of that is my work. And of course, part of it is the fact that I've created the lifestyle that I wanted to live. And if anyone knows my backstory, I was for a long time very successful in the true sense of success. I was very successful in Australia and I had very successful businesses, but I had this dream and this passion to travel and not be stuck in one location. And that was what I really had as my biggest regret. And now I'm actually able to travel as much as I want. So I work on the road, I work while I travel. I actually interviewed someone. I actually do a live show here in Barcelona on FM radio here in Barcelona. Of course, you can listen to it online as well. And I usually do them live, but I wanted to interview someone in particular. I had to do a pre-recording. And my question to him was, what is your regret? And his biggest regret was not traveling earlier. And I'm the same. So I guess if you don't love traveling, then it's not important. But if you're the person who loves to travel, then it's a great thing to just go out and do. And if you're doing e-commerce, then you have such a great potential of actually having that happen in your life. So if you're in that situation, make sure you send me a private message. I'd love to hear from you. If there's a way that I can, give you some more advice on how to make sure that your e-commerce store is going to run for you while you're traveling, then I definitely want to help you and happy to share anything with you that you need. Okay, this page is loading now, so I might as well share it across while I've got it loaded. You know what doesn't make me happy is when my internet is this slow. So I don't know why on my laptop suddenly it's just not loading. So forget it. I can't do it. Okay, so the other questions I got today were from Kathy. How should I avoid paying too much tax in California? Okay, so thank you, Kathy, for that question. I can't answer that and I wouldn't even try to answer it. But what I can tell you is that I'm actually starting a new podcast. It actually goes live in a week from now. Next Tuesday, it will go live. And we will be, one of my first people that I actually want on the show is someone that specializes in tax law for e-commerce stores. So I will be getting someone on in the next couple of weeks. I think episode 4 or 5, we will have that person on. And then what I'll be doing is asking him exactly that question. So if anyone else has questions for me around not paying tax, well, not paying tax, but not paying too much tax, because I know that in certain states of America, there's more things that you have to pay when it comes to buying overseas and things like that. So if you've got questions like that, anything around tax related questions in the US, please send me a private message, because I will be asking those questions on my podcast, and I'm more than happy to put your questions forward, because I myself don't pay tax in the US, so I don't actually have those problems. My co-host on the show, she's from the US, so she'll definitely be asking all the right questions. But if you have particular questions, please send them through to me, and I'll make sure that we ask those questions in the interview. So Kathy, I hope that helps you out. Please email me if you have any other questions. Okay, next one was from Greg. How do you set up a Pinterest ad? Okay, so Pinterest is a great place to be if you're selling certain e-commerce products, and it's pretty much all e-commerce can get onto Pinterest, and I highly recommend it. There are a lot of people talking about doing a Facebook ad, and they sort of stay there in that place and they just stick to doing Facebook ads and nothing else. But the thing is that there's so much more going on out there. There's cheaper ways to get people to your website, and so Pinterest ads are fantastic. So Greg, it's a great place to be. Just another thing before I get into that answer, anyone that's online now, I can see a few people, but I actually, for some reason, it doesn't always pop up at the bottom telling me who's online. So maybe I know you, maybe I don't, but if you're here and I know you, please just write in the chat there, hi, say hello to me, so I know who you are, because that's just the way Facebook Live is. I can't always see that information. So Greg, to answer your question, how do you set up a Pinterest ad? It's very similar to Facebook, yet it's much simpler. There's not as much as many options, so it's a much simpler thing to do. However, one thing that you need to know, just like on a Facebook ad, is that you need to know who you're targeting. So make sure when you think about who you're targeting, you have to be targeting the right person. Not only when it comes to you want to think about price ranges, the sort of people, what else do those people look at? So for instance, let's say you're selling yoga mats as an example. Who are the people that you want to be targeting? You want to be targeting people that look at anything to do with health, anything to do with wellness, fitness, things like that. You want to make sure maybe even yoga instructors, because they're going to be, and you've got to look through the Pinterest. They're always changing it. So I can't say to you right now, these are the only things to target, because if I show you something now, tomorrow it can change very quickly. They're, updating it all the time. They've just brought in a new tracking pixel on Pinterest, which is getting amazing results for people. You're able to see so much more information than before. But really think about your targeting, and don't be too broad. Try to bring it back in and say, okay, well, who are the people that are really going to be the important ones, and start first with your with a more direct type of targeting, unless you have more budget. So these are two things that, this is the same with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram ads. Some people say go really, really broad. But the thing is, if you have a limited budget, going too broad is actually going to put you in a position where you're going to waste a lot of money before you actually see results. So I actually recommend trying to keep it more tight. So yoga mats, keep it just to people who are about health and fitness, and stick to them first. Then later on, you can go out to mums or women and start to target, a much broader group. Okay, I'm back. Got a sip of water, so the internet's cutting in and out, sorry. So keep it quite tight and then worry later on about going. Sorry, it just cut out again. So spending too much money can be a problem. So really think about that first. If you have any questions and you want to know more, jump into my group, e-commerce backstage pass, ask me questions in there, and I'm happy to help you work out your audience and tighten up your audience, who you're actually going to advertise to. I'm happy to help you with that. Next question came from Amy. I'm updating my Shopify website and it takes me forever. What do you recommend I do? Okay, first thing I recommend is to everyone, no matter what you're doing, concentrate on what you're good at and what you can do quickly. You think that you're saving money by getting things done on your own, and this is what makes you an entrepreneur, but this is also what breaks you as an entrepreneur. And I can tell you this after being an entrepreneur for more than 17 years. I can tell you that our biggest I can't even think of the word. The biggest reason what makes us successful is the biggest thing that makes us fail. So we go out there and we want to take on the world as entrepreneurs, and we think, right, we know we've got this great idea and I can do it and I can make it happen, and that's really, really good. But then at the same time, we do that and we try to take it all on ourselves and we overwhelm ourselves and we waste time on things that we shouldn't be doing. So the first thing I recommend to you, Amy, is if you are taking too long doing it, sit down and actually think about it. Think about, I just tried to do this on my Shopify store. Write down the time and be realistic. Write down, I started at 1 p.m. What time did I finish? Look at that time frame. If that took you 2 hours to do, what I recommend you do, and if you're still worried and you think, I don't want to be wasting money on hiring someone, then what I recommend you do is you look at the time it took you to do that task and you jump onto somewhere like freelancer.com and you put up a request to ask someone to do that task, the one that you've already done, because at the moment it's more of like a little test for you and you need to prove this to yourself, whether it's actually worth you doing it. Jump on there and put that task up there. For instance, adding the MailChimp plugin as an example. Jump onto Freelancer. It's free to post a job on there. Just tick the boxes at the bottom. Make sure you don't tick the bonus things and things like that. You can do a listing for free and put up a listing for that exact task and see how much people come back to you as the price of doing it, and sort of get a rough idea. You're going to have some people that might say $8 and some that say $80. So balance that out somewhere in the middle, because at the moment you're just trying to get an idea and say, okay, well, if I got some people offering to do it for $8. I had some people offering at $80. Let's call it $60, and think to yourself, that 2 hours that you spent doing that, could you have made $60, done something better for that time than doing that yourself? And if the answer is yes, then outsource. Take those tasks that you think that you need to do and outsource them. Where do I recommend you doing it? Hey Carson is fantastic. I'm actually getting John onto one of my new podcasts in the next couple of weeks to talk about Hey Carson. Hey Carson is an amazing, amazing place for you to get help. So Hey Carson charges you a monthly flat fee, and you can get those little tasks done for your Shopify store, and then you're just able to outsource them. And it's a flat fee, so you get X amount done per month. So highly recommend Hey Carson. I will be interviewing him. I'll let everyone know when I do get that podcast up live, so you can listen to that and find out more about what they're doing and how they actually work as a business. But they're definitely a fantastic place to go. Next question. So anyone who's jumping on now, I can't actually see, it doesn't come up with the names on who's coming up. So hey Richard's just sent me a message. If you're here, and just put your name down below, like don't put your name because it comes up with your name, but just say hello so I know who's here on the actual live call, because I'd love to know if you're here listening, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Richard is asking, basically in most everything you need money to make money. How much did you invest in your very first idea on becoming a successful business person? Okay, my first big investment was into my hairdressing salon that I bought into. I was a business partner, I was a worker there for 2 years, but I'd been freelancing as well. So I was working there, freelancing, bought in there, but that's a real shop. So that was bricks and mortar shop in Melbourne. And I invested at that stage. Oh yeah, Richard, it keeps on jumping around. I'm seeing different numbers all the time. Yeah, and I invested, I think it was $25,000 into that business to originally start out there, and then, you know, putting money back into the business all the time. So this is the thing that a lot of people don't see. So I invested $25,000 into that business. I was about 20 years old, 21 years old. I invested $25,000 into that business. And then we had to put money back into advertising and things like that. So now with a lot of these e-commerce stores, you're not having to put a huge outlay. So I do recommend that you look at how much it would cost you to set up your business as a bricks and mortar, and realize that, don't think of it as, you know, oh, I've got to spend all this money on marketing or fixing my website. Think of it as, hey, I've saved so much money not having a real shop. So, you know, it wasn't only that, we had to pay water, we had to pay staff, we had to pay business insurance. There was all sorts of things. Outfitting, I actually bought in and we fitted out the whole salon again. So there's a whole lot of expenses that goes into a real business that you don't get from online business. So there's lots of different things that I've invested money into. And sometimes, you know, I truly believe that e-commerce, while you don't have to invest a lot of money in certain things, it's a good idea to start investing into your marketing. Richard saying, so something you knew about. I'm not sure what you mean by that. And then he says, so it was like stock in the company. No, the salon I bought into, I bought 50% of the business. So I was 50-50 with the, he was my boss, and then I became his business partner 50-50 in that. And I ended up, I was there for a total of about 8 years while doing other things as well. Okay, so next question. Andrew, what is the best Facebook ad to set up? Okay, so the best Facebook ad is that it really depends on your business. So video ads are fantastic. I spoke about this a few weeks ago. If you can do a video ad, it doesn't need to be you talking to camera. It can be unpacking. I've actually, if you go back through the Facebook Lives, there was a video where I spoke about the unpacking. Just go to YouTube and Google unboxing, and you'll see people just opening the packets. That's a really good one. So you might have something that comes in a box, you have to put it together, even if it's cords. People do unboxing videos for iPhones, so it's literally a cord, the iPhone, and you know, the something else, a charger in there, and so then that actually becomes a video. So something like that. You might do a video where you're interviewing your customers that have been happy. There's all sorts of videos. Videos are great, they're cheap, it's a great way to get people to your website, it's a great way to get people stopping to look through their news feed. If it's not that, the other good one is the lead ads. So collecting leads from straight inside Facebook. They're much cheaper than sending someone to your website. So if you want to get an initial lead only, then doing it that way is great. Sending people from doing a blog post on your page and boosting that, or I'm not a big fan of boosting, but going in and actually creating that as an ad is a really great way as well. Look, it really depends on what you're doing and which ad is going to work best for you, and the way that you can actually get the best looking ad. So I'd rather, if you can't create a nice looking video, then just stick to doing a post on Facebook and then actually turning that into an ad. Rich is also saying, and that generated enough to follow through with something different. Yeah, I used to make a lot of money in that business and moved on to buying a singles dating events company, moved on to owning property, rental property, like holiday rental. It's now Airbnb, but before Airbnb, also my shoe label. So I've had all sorts of things over the years. Yeah, I used to be a hairdresser, Richard. In my last life, I actually started off as a hair and makeup artist. So I used to work on a lot of film and TV, freelancing. I just sold a big business in Australia, in Melbourne, of hair and makeup. I worked on, you know, all the fashion shoots and everything. So yes, in my last life, I was a hair and makeup artist. So you actually brought into the business, that was originally someone else's plan. No, so I bought into a business who loved what I did. So I worked for him and he loved what I was doing. So he actually asked me to become a partner and change the way he did his business. And we turned that around. I need a place to rent now. Yes, you know, sometimes you need bricks and mortar locations. Sometimes you can get away with not having it. Next question is from Doug. How much should I spend on Facebook ads per month? How long is a piece of string? It's really about if you can spend $1 on Facebook ads and get $1 back, you're doing really good. So like get an extra $1 back, then that's great. So if you're making money from your Facebook ads, then keep reinvesting into Facebook ads. You will eventually, not you will, sometimes you can eventually flood the market with your ads. So you might have to give up on that at some stage, but start with what you can spend. Make sure you set up the ad properly. Make sure you test it. Make sure you don't just follow other people's advice on, especially in different Facebook groups where people will say, just do it this way and it's fine. Test different types of ads, whether it's a video ad or a post, or if they're going to a blog post, or if they're going to a sales page with an item on it. Test different things out because you might be wrong. Test different audiences out. If you want to run a Facebook ad and let's say you have, let's use the example yoga mats. You might want to test fitness fanatics, and you might want to test wellness people. So fitness and wellness. The best thing you can do is actually make one ad about fitness and one ad about wellness. Now, the reason why you do that is because you do one, they'll be slightly different looking ads and the copy will be slightly different, but also because when you go through and you get your results, your statistics, you can't see if they came in on wellness or fitness. So you want to know which of those are going to do better. You can see what they came in on, what age group. You can see if they were men or women, but interests actually should be separated because you'll be able to see your audience better. Once you get those things into place, put a budget in place that's going to be reasonable for you to start off with and test. See how you go. Put $5 a day into each ad and scale it up slowly. There's tricks to it. You don't want to scale up fast. If something's doing well, don't go too fast. So just budget it out, work out a plan and say, okay, well, I have $500 for a month or $1,000 for a month. And if it's making you money, keep putting more money into it is what I say. So Richard's saying, then it was your knowledge and how well you knew the business and had a vision for making money at this business, how you could make it more profitable. Yeah, so when I bought into that business, the first thing I realized, I was 20 years old, the first thing, and I didn't finish school. I left school when I was about 16 years old, so I didn't even finish year 11. I've only got a year 10 qualification from high school. But I realized I needed to do marketing when I was 20 years old and I had that salon. It was one of the first things I realized. I needed to know marketing inside out. So I went and learned it. This is before the internet was a thing. So everything I learned was offline. And then over the years, I evolved into online. So definitely I know not only the marketing side, but I know the business side. And I know all the advice I always give is always based on what I believe as a business owner, because it's I see a lot of marketing people who give advice that looks good on paper but is not ever going to work for a business owner. A lot of marketing people will say, well, you should do it this way, and it's, things on paper are not always the same as what they are in real life. So all the advice I give is always, my hat on first is always as a business owner first, and then I work out, okay, as a business owner, what would make sense to happen? How can we make that happen? So, I don't, like the last question from Andrew, how much do I spend on Facebook ads? Someone else will say, well, you should put $500 a month, or you should put $1,000 a month. I would never say that to anyone, because I know as a business owner, that is not a reasonable thing to ask of someone. So I say, from a business owner's perspective, you need to put the right amount of money in that's right for you, but you need to test it, because there's no point putting in, saying, I'm going to put this much in and not do the right work behind it. Danielle, I don't even know how to say that. Danny Lowe, I hope I'm saying that properly. Danny Perez is saying, great information in Facebook. You're awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions you have, please ask me. This is Ask Anything Wednesday. So if you've got questions about e-commerce, put your questions in there. I had a whole lot of questions come through from email before the show, so I'm just reading them out, but I'm happy to get through your questions as I go. Richard saying, and this business took off, and is it prospering? If you're talking about my hairdressing salon, I sold out of that when I was 26 years old. I'd been there for 8 years in total. I sold out at 26 years old and moved on to other things. My old business partner, who I still speak to and I love dearly, he still has that business. It's still chugging along. It's still doing what it was doing. I left there mainly at the time because I had many different ideas. I'm very much a visionary. I have big ideas, and sometimes people are happy where they are, and sometimes people are not happy where they are. So I just was not happy in that situation, not moving forward and progressing. So for me, it was the best moment to leave that business and move on to other things. So that business, it's still going, it's still where it was, and he's still got the same clientele, and it's fantastic for him. But for me, it just wasn't going to take me to that next level. But it was a very, very good income earner for me, and I'm very, very happy that I did it. No, he didn't take off to other things. He's still exactly where he is, and life is still the same for him. And everyone used to laugh at him and I as business partners because you couldn't find two more polar opposite people. Where I'm very much about free spirit and let's just make things happen and see how far we can take things. He was very much about structure, and while structure, I'm still very structured, and I still believe in, I love analytics, and I'm very much into. We're very different people. Not going to get into it any more than that. So how much did he turn 25K into, if I may ask? Well, I don't really want to get into the actual money side of it, but I put my money in. Him and I ran that business together for about 4 or 5 years, from 5 years, something like that. And then when I sold out, I took the value of that business at that time, which we had turned, I think we went up from the income. Look, it was a long time ago. I can't think of actual figures, but we did about 4 times the amount of money within 6 months of me coming on board. We, 4 times that. So we just went up from there. It was, let's just say that we both left our partnership very, very happy from that. So I'm very happy with, it is what it is, and I left there for a reason. But yeah, we made good money from that. We were in a very good location. It's a long story, but yeah, more than happy to share that in another Facebook Live, but this is not really the place to be talking too much about that. Next question. Doug asks, how much should I spend on, oh no, that was the question I just answered, sorry. Penny asks, what is the best accounting software for Shopify? Penny, your question is about the best software. I'll give you some advice that I learned the very, very hard way in a business that I ran a few years ago now. I had another e-commerce store that I had, this is probably going back about 6 or 8 years ago. I had a business where I was setting it up, and this is the mistake. I made this mistake and I will never make it again. I had an accountant, and my accountant was very good. And I had a friend of mine who told me her mum was like this fantastic bookkeeper. And I don't know in America what the situation is, but in Australia, you have a bookkeeper do your bookkeeping. And then at the end of the year or every, term, you send it off to your accountant. She told me at the time, for my particular business, she said, you're doing it all wrong. I was doing it in an Excel spreadsheet, putting everything through that way. She told me that I was doing it wrong. So I took her advice and I changed over to an accounting software. Now you've got to remember it's not like an e-commerce store, but I'm just giving you this as an example. I changed everything over. I think I spent about $10,000 buying the software, getting her to update, like put all of the information in. It probably cost me around $10,000 to get all of this done. And then I went to my accountant and I showed him what I had done. I was so proud of myself. I was like, finally, everything's online and I'm doing this and I'm doing this. And, I'm not a person that likes doing my bookkeeping. So for me, I love handing it off to someone else, and I took her advice. And when he saw it, he just looked at me and he said, "You've just wasted so much money." And I was like, "What do you mean? I've, put so much money and effort into it." And he explained to me that my situation at the time, so this is not anyone else's situation, but he said to me, "You should just be sticking to an Excel sheet." And the way my business was set up, because I wasn't selling individual products in the way an e-commerce store would. So it's a slightly different situation. But he said to me that the way my business was running, I was best off, and it was going to be the cheapest option for me long term, because the way that particular bookkeeping system worked, she had to add every single item in. So if I got one receipt that was for $5, she had to manually put that in, and there was like 8 different things that she had to place in there. And so that's what cost me so much, was her updating everything. And he said, "No, you just should have done it the way you were doing it before, because now it's going to cost you a fortune." I went back to the system. So my advice to you, Penny, this is my advice. Don't ask anyone else what you should be doing. Find a really good accountant, someone that you can trust, someone that you know is going to have your back as an accountant, and ask them what is going to be the best thing. So if you're talking about Shopify, go and look on Shopify and see, the main types of accounting software, and the accountants work with all the main ones like Xero and QuickBooks and those sort of things, and ask him what is going to be the best thing for your business. There's going to be different reasons why different things are going to work for different people. So I highly recommend, because certain things are going to work better if you're doing international currencies. Some things are going to be better for you if you're doing just local currency. Some things will be better if you've got different tax ranges. Different products might have different, ways of paying. There's so many different moving parts to that, and I wouldn't be taking anyone's advice on that except your accountant, because I learned a really, really expensive lesson of taking someone's advice before talking to my accountant. And all I had to do was call him up and say, "This is what I've been told. What do you think?" So in saying that, go and check out the big ones that are on Shopify. They're all there. And, have a look yourself, have an idea of, what you think might be the right thing, and then go to your accountant and say, "Hey, out of these ones, what do you think is going to be best for me?" Danny Lowe says, "I see where your success comes from." Thank you. Yes, I've always been an entrepreneur, and I've worked very, very hard. And I promise you, everyone, that my first thing is that I'm all about coming in from everything with marketing and running a business from a business point of view, from a business owner's point of view. Not as someone, there's a lot of consultants out there who, some of them are very, very good. So I don't want to say that they're all crap. But there's some consultants out there and some marketing people out there that have never actually owned a business, or they've just done one thing and they don't see the big picture. I've owned 12 different businesses in all different areas. I've helped so many people with their businesses. I'm in partnership with many, many different businesses. And if you've been watching my videos, you will know some of the most, unusual, diverse businesses that I have partnerships in that you would not, normally think of as a business. And I know it from all aspects. And I can tell you that the advice I give you is always something that might not look the best on paper, or someone with marketing experience might not suggest that. But from a business point of view, it's going to be the best way. And this is one thing, and I talk about this all the time, is I've got my marketing blueprint. And I talk about that because as a marketing plan, one thing that I did many years ago was I created this huge marketing plan for one of my businesses, spent hours and hours, days and days on it, got it professionally put together and collated, and it looked really nice. And I was so proud of myself. And I never looked at it again. It was just dead. And it just sat there, and I'd spent all this time, and I never implemented anything from there. And actually the stuff that was in there wasn't really implementable. It was just sort of words on a piece of paper. Like, I remember, and this was following this was a marketing plan. This was not something I was making up. This was a real marketing plan. And if you look at a real marketing plan, you go to the section about how am I going to promote myself? And it's like, I'll do Facebook. Okay. And then you go to the part, what's your audience? Oh, it's women ages 25 to 40. And that's it. And that's all you get out of that. So my big thing is what I do, and this is like my secret formula that everyone that works with me has to go through this process. And I do this as a separate program that people can buy separately because I believe in it so much, is my blueprint, my marketing blueprint. And that is all about going through making a document. It doesn't look the best. It's not this beautiful binded document that I had created those years ago. This is a document that I keep on Google Docs, and the reason why I keep it there is it's live. You can log in from anywhere and look at it. You can give it to anyone, any of your staff to look at. You can give it to anyone to look at. It might not pass as a business loan document. If you wanted to get a business loan, I get that, but this is a working document for a business owner that you're going to be looking at. And the questions that I keep in there, I cut out, like, I've been working on this for so many years and perfecting this document. I cut out so many of these questions that are in a traditional marketing business plan, and I put them all. So I got a business plan and a marketing plan and put them together and created this document that every single person that goes through this and learns how to, and creates one for themselves, learns so much about their business that they didn't realize. And they're able to then go back and look at this document and update it whenever they want and work on it. And that is like the first step. And, you know, I talk about my secret. What's my secret formula? That is my secret formula. My marketing blueprint and also my proprietary knowledge kit. Those are the two things that are like my secret things that I know if you do those, you're going to change the way you do your business. And every single person that goes through them says to me, hey, you know what, it was really worth that effort. So I'm really about, you know, finding easy ways to make things happen. Okay, it's still work, and I'm not saying it's like this, you know, secret instant button. There is no such thing, and people that tell you that there is are lying to you. And if you want long-term success, there's people out there that might be making, you know, doing some Facebook ads at the moment and selling some t-shirts. There was something the other day I heard that Teespring's Facebook's no longer letting Teespring advertise on Facebook ads, and these sort of things happen all the time. So if you don't have a proper plan in place, yeah, you might be really successful for a few months, and then suddenly everything stops. And I read these comments in Facebook groups of people saying, I was getting really good traction with my Facebook ads, and then suddenly everything just stopped working. And that is really dangerous as a business owner if you don't have a backup plan. Because if you're bringing in, and this is like, you know, I talk to people that want to be making $100,000 a month. Imagine if you're bringing in $100,000 a month, and then suddenly your kids go to better schools, and you bought a new car, and you've booked a new trip, and you're paying for your parents to go on a trip, and you're giving money out everywhere, and you're paying for all these things, and suddenly everything that you've been doing stops working, and you don't know how to make it happen. That's a really scary place to be in as a business owner. So you need to go through, you know, my marketing blueprint. Okay, it's not an instant fix, but there's no such thing. Go through and do something like my marketing blueprint, sit down and work it out and say, okay, so if that did happen to you and suddenly your Facebook ads stopped working for you or something else stopped working, you can actually go back and go, hey, you know what? I can do this and this now. These are other areas I can work on. So, you know, I'm very passionate about it. I'm very passionate about success online, and I know that it can work. It's just a matter of making sure that you have those the foundational keys in place, and then everything else can be laid on top of it, and then it becomes easy, and then it becomes, you know, something that you love to do. So I think I'm starting to lose my voice. I've been on here for a while, so that is my Wednesday Q&A. Do this every single Wednesday, so please jump back on next week. If you have more questions, send them through to me in advance. I'm happy to answer them. But if you have a particular topic that you want me to speak about during the week, every day, Monday to Friday, I do a different topic. So if there's something in particular, please let me know and I can cover it. You can go into quite a lot of details in the question and I'll get through it on the actual Facebook Live. So thank you for being here. It's been wonderful. I'm happy to help people. I'm happy, you know, if you're happy, I'm happy. And if I can be of any help to you, let me know. Leave a comment underneath this video, send me a private message on Facebook. However you want to connect with me, jump in my Facebook group and ask questions in there. Happy to answer questions for you. Have a wonderful day wherever you are. Happy Wednesday, and I'll be seeing you tomorrow on another Facebook Live. Thank you. Bye.